Welcome to Your Way Now. We're Sue and Sarah, coaches supporting people living with cancer and those moving beyond it. Each episode shares real stories, expert insight, and gentle tools to help you feel more supported, physically, emotionally, and mentally. This is Your Way Now.
Get the strength you want and need from real stories and expert voices. It's time for Your Way Now.
And welcome to this episode of Your Way Now with myself, Sarah, and my colleague, Sue.
Hello there.
Where we share inspirational stories, top tips, and anything else that we can muster up for your educational purposes, shall we say. And today we have Marcos Jarvis, who we're really super excited to hear about your story because I know that you are really, really inspirational. So let's kick it off at the beginning as we always do.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Marcus, and just a short introduction. Quite a few years ago, I had a lot of pains in my stomach area, and being a typical builder, typical bloke, it was like, oh, it's fine. It's just muscle cramps or pulled muscle and things like that. And I just carried on with life, and I found that I just got more and more fatigued. And it was my wife finally booked me an appointment, and I didn't even have a doctor's at the time when I was going through this. So I had to have an emergency appointment. So I went to the doctors, and they said it was gastroenteritis, and gave me a load of pills and said, come back in a month. So done that. A month later, nothing really changed. By then I'd actually registered with the doctors in my hometown. And then the tests kept going through, and they kept passing different things going wrong and everything else. And then all the tablets I was taking, it wasn't making a difference. And I was carried on with life, but just getting more and more iller and iller until the point where, I actually said to the doctor, is there any possible chance it could be cancer? Because obviously I was passing blood, fatigue, just pains all through my abdominal areas and everything else. And they finally done a blood test and a CT scan. And they said, obviously it came up with cancer. And tumors that show up on the liver area, and then obviously they booked me for a biopsy. When I'd done a biopsy, and when they done the biopsy and the results came back, I had an oncology appointment, and that's when they explained to me that there was pancreatic stem cells within the biopsy, and obviously liver is where they got the biopsy from. And that's when they informed me that I had stage 4 advanced incurable cancer. And there was nothing that they could do apart from palliative chemotherapy and assign me to St. Wilfrid's Hospice. And that was October the 2nd, 2019. So it was a day before mine and my wife's 5th wedding anniversary. So I'll never forget my wife's our wedding anniversary because I've always have that.
So the primary was in the pancreas then, was that?
Apparently so, yes. That's what they suspected because there was pancreatic stem cells within that. So having that knowledge of like pancreatic was a real devastating blow. So we had to come home and deal with that information. And the one thing that changed, luckily for us, it was very, very quick, because on that day we had to go and pick our little boy up from reception, and he was only 4 years old at the time. And obviously when he came out of school, running across the playground with his pictures, going, "Mummy and Daddy," sort of thing. And there's me and Hannah, my wife, trying to hold it together on the playground. And we just looked at each other and just went, no matter what it takes, we will get through this and we'll beat this. And I think that's the turning point, that we didn't have time to wallow or have self-pity or victim mentality type thing. It was just a case of, they'd already informed that it was probably a maximum of 3 months that I had left. And their advice was to go home, eat cake, and enjoy what I had left, sort of thing. So yeah, it was a very, very scary day. But I think the mental mindset that came in when me and my wife just held each other's hands and just see our child running towards us and giving us a big hug when he came up to us. That was just the one thing that I couldn't let him down. I couldn't let myself down. I couldn't let him down. I couldn't let my wife down. And there's always a case that you could just give up because of that information. But that, for some reason, something in my head just went, what if I am that one person that can do something? What if I am that one person that can beat this and take on cancer head on and find out what its weak points was, sort of thing. So
Wow.
yeah.
That's an amazing mindset to have. And obviously the shock of the diagnosis and seeing your son and the realization of what that meant was I don't know, kickstarted that, or was that your general mindset before, where you were a very determined and kind of like driven person?
No, beforehand, I was a very sort of victim mentality, as like, why me? This is not fair. I've always been very dyslexic. So all through my life, when I've gone for promotions and jobs and everything else, I've already really struggled with the academic side of things. So it was always a case of, life's not fair. It's, excuse me, it's my own fault. Not being able to read and write properly, that it held me back for a lot of years. So it really sort of, had a victim mentality of why me? This is not fair type thing. So, and obviously when I got diagnosed, I thought, have I got this strength? And I was just like, well, what if I have got this strength? So I dropped the victim mentality because I knew I didn't have long left to like see whether it was capable or not, sort of thing. So yeah, I beforehand I was a very like, life's not fair sort of thing. And then obviously when you get a devastating blow like stage 4 cancer, your mind, there's only 2 ways it could go. And that was it. So I just chose the path to say, yes, I'm going to do everything possible, sort of thing. So
That's some bounce back, isn't it?
yes.
It really is.
It
Yeah, I mean,
is,
that
yeah.
is like a 360 turnaround in mindset overnight, really,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah.
Because the way I
So,
look at it, I had stage 4 cancer before I went into the oncology office. So I walked into the oncology office as me, as Marcos Jarvis. So I was still standing upright. Obviously, I felt tired, sick, ill, and all the fatigue and everything else. But when I came out of the oncology office, I was still standing upright. Nothing else had changed in my physical ability apart from the knowledge I then had in my head. And then that was when obviously I see our little boy and everything else. It was just like that day seemed to go in slow motion. It was really weird on the whole entire day that we got diagnosed. Everything was in slow motion. So you could clarity that you could think so clearly. And I just suddenly thought, well, hang on. I walked in the oncology office and I walked back out. Nothing had changed apart from the knowledge. And I just thought, well, what if I choose everything that I've done in the past and changed it? Because like the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So we were like, well, what if we change everything? And so we started reading books about cancer. We started listening to podcasts, started to jump on to listen to guys like you with just little tips and tricks and like apple cider vinegar and bicarbonated soda and changing your diet, cutting out this and cutting out that. And so, yeah, looking at alternatives as well, because obviously I went down the route of conventional chemotherapy for the palliative chemotherapy. But I thought, what if we make us strong enough to be able to handle the brutality of chemotherapy. And then obviously taken certain Chinese medicines and have an acupuncture. And then I read the Wim Hof book, which is all about cold water therapy and breath work to increase your energy and just have a better flow, and practicing Tai Chi to increase that chi movement throughout our system, increasing your core strength, and so on and so on. So we had a lot of knowledge going in. So
And knowledge is power, which is great, but implementation is actually sometimes really different, isn't it?
Yes.
Because I mean, I remember reading loads of books, but then, you know, and actually it almost can become overwhelming with the information that's out there. So how did you manage to then choose the things that you wanted to bring into your healing journey?
It was a gut reaction. That's
Yeah.
I've never listened to my own intuition before. It was always a case of like, oh, the world around me is what controls my environment. But then for some reason, like I say, everything just slowed down for probably 2 to 3 weeks. And when I started to take in this knowledge, I had this gut feeling of like, that sounds right, that doesn't, or, you know, and things like that. And when we start listening to our own inner self, we start to realize what we're capable of. And that was how I put the knowledge into my head. And being dyslexic as well, I got an audio book and then started walking, listening to audio books and thinking, oh, that makes sense. You know, how our bodies heal. It's like if you cut yourself, a scab doesn't come down from the sky, it grows from within.
Wow.
And that's when I started to think, I'm going to look from within. I'm going to ask my cancer why it's here and what knowledge it's going to give me and where it's going to push me. And it's almost like my cancer was given to me as a mountain to prove to other people it can be moved. And that's what it felt like to me. It was like, you know, as strange as it sounds, it was meant to be. You know, I was meant to get cancer to actually understand how my life was not going in the right direction. And I had to change because if I'd have carried on the way I was, I certainly wouldn't have been here now. So.
So start to tell us about some of those changes that you did bring in, that you felt intuitively drawn to bringing into your own routine.
Yeah, I listened to a documentary called The Truth About Cancer, and it was the quest to beat cancer. And it was an American guy who, Tom Bollinger, who's got a book out called The Truth About Cancer. And I just started to read that, and it just made sense of if you put the right stuff in, you're going to get the right stuff out. And it's like taking your car to a petrol station. You could fill up with water and the fuel tank will show full, but you're not going to go anywhere because you're not putting the right fuel in. So when you start to understand what our bodies actually function on, like all the vitamins and minerals and everything else, then you start to realize that the diet I had beforehand was not giving me any of that the healthy stuff that I needed, sort of thing, because I was on a very sort of being a builder, bacon sandwiches, donuts at like lunch, and so on and so on, sort of thing. So I knew that I just had too many carbs and processed sugars and processed foods in my body. So we started to look at how we could change our diet. I did actually go plant-based, food orientated. So I cut out all meats, all dairy products, all alcohol, all sugars. We went to very clean, healthy living from trying to grow our own vegetables and things like that sort of thing. So.
And what else did you do? Because I know there's a very physical aspect as well that you brought in. That because I know that you used to run to and from chemo. which is quite
Yes.
reasonable.
Yeah. So when we first started, it was probably about a month in, and I'd started cold water therapy and breath work and changing the diet, acupuncture. And so I started to go for a walk. And I was longer walks and longer walks. And I remember one day I had my trainers on. I was like, I wonder if I could run. So I just ran up my road about 100 meters, and then I threw up in the hedge because obviously I was still on chemotherapy sort of thing. And I was just like, right, okay. So then I walked back to my house, and but then the next day I got back up and I got my trainers on and went back out again. And I managed to do 200 meters, and I felt okay. And then the next day it was 300 meters, and then 400, and I built it up and built it up until like I entered my first 5K. And I ran my first 5K the day after chemotherapy. And considering my chemotherapy was 6 hours infusion for a PICC line in hospital, and then they would give me a bottle of chemotherapy infused over 48 hours, which I had to wear on my belt, which was attached to my PICC line. So I turned up to this 5K with the chemotherapy in the bottle on my belt, sort of thing. So, and then I completed that, and then I was like, oh, what's next? 10K. So I signed up for a 10K, and I completed that. Then I was like, right, let's go to the next stage, half marathon. And I was training every single day. And then I was like, right, I've done a half marathon. What's next? We'll do a marathon. So I remember doing Brighton Marathon the day after chemotherapy, still with a pump and PICC line on. And I completed that in 4.5 hours, which I was really, really pleased with. And then I was at that point where I was training and running 6 miles every day. I live 7 miles away from hospital. So I was running to hospital, having chemotherapy, and then running 7 miles back home afterwards. So, and then the next stage, obviously, I was running ultra marathons, like 55K, 55 miles. And it was tough. I must admit, it was tough. It was the fatigue afterwards, obviously, with the chemotherapy. But then I'd run a 50-mile race on a Saturday, have Sunday off, and then run 6 miles Monday morning.
So this must have taken you outside of that initial 3-month
I was just thinking that.
prognosis.
Yes, yeah.
So what was the reaction when you were going into the chemo suite and outliving that initial prognosis and ultramarathoning? That's the thing.
Yeah.
Ultramarathoning. Yeah.
I did get told off a lot from the nurses. They were like, you shouldn't be running, you shouldn't be doing this. So everything happened very, very quickly within the first 3 months. I'd already changed everything in my diet. I was already going to see an acupuncture, a homeopath, Chinese medicine, changed the diet. I was already exercising. I was already doing cold water therapy, sauna therapy, breath work, meditation, visualization, everything within that 3 months. And then I had my first 3-month scan because I didn't think I'd make it past 3 months anyway. But obviously I was doing okay. Went in for the scan, and one of my tumors on my liver alone was 12 centimeters across. So, and that was multiple tumors on my liver. And that's the reason why they couldn't do surgery, because it was too far advanced that it was basically 90% of my liver was covered in tumors.
Wow.
And as I said, first 3 months, had the CT scan, got called into the oncology office. And the first 3 months of the oncology appointments, you're like, oh my God, which way is it going to go? Which way is it going to go? Has it gone good? Has it gone bad? So you just get that scanxiety constantly. You're awake all night and you've got nightmares and dreams and everything else. And I go into the oncology office, and he said, I'm very pleased to say that your tumors are shrunk, but they've shrunk from 12 centimeters, this main one, down to 8 centimeters within 3 months.
Wow.
So yeah, he said this is a significant amount of reduction, and that's right the way across the board for every tumor on your liver. And I was still stage 4 advanced incurable by that point. They hadn't downgraded me or anything like that. And which I think is wrong in a way, because they should at some point go, well, you're doing really well, so we're going to sort of downgrade you. And then it's almost like getting a gold star, as if say you're doing something right.
Motivating.
Just carry on, sort of thing. Whereas I came out of there thinking I'd done really well, but nothing had changed in my diagnosis type thing, apart from the tumours are shrinking. I know they've got to stay on a protocol and everything else, but I just think if there was a little bit more motivation, a little bit more hope there of like, oh my God, if you do this, you could get to stage 3 or stage 2 sort of thing, there'll be like a motivation stepping stone. But obviously that sort of side of the system is not gonna. So I took that out, and me and my wife had like just the overwhelmness of we're doing something, we're getting there, and just like the motivation from that. I think I ran, sorry, I ran 20 miles a day after that sort of thing. So I just within 3 months, I was already like running just crazy sort of distances and just going on from there. And obviously I just built it up. No, it wasn't actually. It was 5 miles, not 20 miles. Sorry, 5 miles after
Come
that.
on, be realistic.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah. Sorry, I was going to
So what did you, when you were talking earlier on about intuition, you're listening to yourself, all those things that you were doing, and the acupuncture, the diet, the exercise, I can't remember what else the cold baths, all the rest of it.
Yeah.
Well, did you? Yeah, all of it. Did you have an intuition about what it was that was making was there something that was making a big difference, or do you feel that it was the combination of things? What was your
I
sort of
think
gut
it's a
feeling on
combination
that?
of everything.
Yeah.
The fact of I believe in 10% increments. So the acupuncture would be 10%, the cold water would have been 10%, the sauna would have been 10%, the chemotherapy would have been 10%, and so on, so on. And I obviously I do look back and I wonder if I dropped the chemotherapy, whether I would have had more energy to do more and more and more sort of thing. So, but because obviously we've all got families, and like everyone around us is trying to help and support in every way. And a lot of the time, because of conventional, they are there and they are good and they know what they're doing. And so I use the chemotherapy as a pillow, as that recovery of like it's there, and it's doing something, but obviously making me feel so horrible and rough sort of thing. So, but yeah, after the 3-month scan, obviously then we came home and we knew that we were going in the right direction. And so everything that I'd implemented by that point, that was my protocol. So like fasting, juicing, eating very healthily, exercise, and we just kept doing it. Over and over again. And like I say, to the point where I was running 6 miles every single day. I was running marathons on the weekend. I was running to hospital, and then running home. And I used to turn up at hospital in just like my running gear and, skipping down the down the hallway type thing. And I was told off a few times.
I'm also really struck by the language that you're using right from the start. You're talking about we.
Yes.
Just very much, and not everyone is lucky enough to have someone alongside them. But it sounds like you and your wife are a fantastic team in that way. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
That made a big
And
difference.
it's part of the team. I know there's people out there that don't have anyone to help or support or look up to, but I always think that you can't do everything on your own. You need the hospital. You need a friend. You need a colleague. You need something in your life. So I always try to bring other people into my life as a we, like us. We are creating something here to help other people to understand that what they're actually capable of, sort of thing. So yeah, I don't think there's ever an I as such. It's always a we, and everyone needs someone to lean on. Someone's going to watch this and go, oh my God, I've got a friend that's going through. Just go and talk to them. Just say, look, I don't understand what you're going through, but I'm here if anything, or just something, and that's what it's all
Yeah.
about, I think.
Fantastic, thank you.
So you're still doing building work?
I do do a little bit of building work, but most of it I built my own sauna. So to help other people through the retreat, so I created a barrel sauna myself, off plan, and just made it up, sort of thing. So being a carpenter, and obviously I built a cold tub. Being a plumber, I could plumb all the chiller in, so the water's always at 2 degrees and things like that. And obviously, things at home I do, but a lot of the time I do motivational speeches and help other people to understand that just change the small things in their life. And when they come to the retreat, the Warrior's Breath, they will understand a bit more about breath work, meditation, visualization, cold water therapy, and sauna therapy as well, sort of thing. So yeah, I do dabble still in the building trade because I like to create things with my hands.
Amazing.
And I think actually, are you in remission?
I am, yes, and
Yay.
it took me 2 years, considering I was diagnosed October 2019, and then I got the all clear in 2021 in October as well. So it took 2 years to actually beat cancer, and I am now coming up to 4.5 years cancer free, and I'm still an ultra athlete,
Incredible. Yeah.
running crazy amounts of distances. So, and there was was one thing that a year and a half later after my diagnosis, we'd shrunk the tumors so much that they said that they could now do surgery. So I had a liver resection, this is whatever they call it, and they took 60% of my liver and all the rest of the tumors that are on my liver, and they went and tested the tumors, and there were 6 left, and 5 of them were already dead.
Wow.
And so it was just obviously benign, there, just gone. And they said the last one, the largest one, there was still showing the fact that it was live tumor. So they said, we're going to have to do 6 more rounds of chemotherapy, considering I'd already had 29 rounds of chemotherapy by that point. I'd already run 2,000 miles by that point on chemotherapy as well. And when they said that we're going to have to do 6 more rounds and we're going to have to go back in and take that last tumor out. And I remember talking to my oncologist and said, look, I don't mind doing 6 rounds of chemotherapy, but surgery hurt like hell. So is there any chance I could get rid of that tumor without having to go surgery? And she was like, no, we're going to have to go back in and take it out afterwards. I had 6 more rounds of chemotherapy, ran another 500 miles, kept myself really clean, visualization. I knew I'd get rid of the tumor. Then I was called back into the oncology office after my CT scan. And she said, I'm really pleased to say that all the tumors are gone. You don't have to go back for surgery, and you're now in remission, and there is no sign of any cancer within your body whatsoever, sort of thing. So yeah, that was that was quite a day, sort of thing.
That was a moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Did you go out and celebrate?
Yes, I had a glass of sparkling water. So yeah, and I still
ran a bit. Yeah. Ran the old marathon. Yeah.
yeah, that's right. So yeah,
And
I'm
you've
now
obviously maintained all
free,
these things in
and
your life as well.
yeah.
So you've maintained all these things in your life as well. You know,
Yes.
you've maintained your lifestyle. You obviously maintain the running, the eating, the non-alcohol, all those types of things.
Yep. Yes, I have occasional glass of wine on special occasions, or a glass of champagne. Not to, literally, it's pretty much. There's no point in saying that I drink anymore because I don't. Only on those rare occasions, sort of thing. So yeah, I ran Brighton Marathon yesterday as well, sort of thing. So
Done.
yeah, completed that. So, but the
How are you
weird thing
feeling
was,
today?
sorry, go on.
How are you feeling today?
Fine. Yeah, I'm going to go out for a 6-mile run after this, actually, because the sun's out. So, so yeah,
I love this. Yeah.
it's my
It's the
recovery
rest of
run
the
now.
sustaining.
Yeah, it's my recovery run. So, but the
Yeah.
strange thing about my diagnosis, obviously, there was suspected pancreatic cancer through to metastasized through to the liver. But when they actually done surgery and they took the tumors out and actually done the biopsy on them, they now suspect it might have been bile duct cancer with secondary on the liver sort of thing.
Right.
So yeah, we still don't, I've never really got an official diagnosis, because if you look through all my papers, it says pancreatic suspectation and like bile duct and this and that. There's too many complicated letters on there. So yeah, mine's a little bit of a complicated like cancer thing. So yeah, even though cancer is cancer.
Yeah. So the retreats that you are running now with all the amazing opportunities there, is that only for people with cancer, or is that open to anybody?
That's open to anyone. I do work alongside a lot of people with cancer, because obviously they know my story, and I have like Zoom calls with people just to help them understand what they're capable of. I never tell people what to do. It's just a case of this is what I done. You never know, something along those lines. So yeah, the retreat is actually for everyone, that whether they want to maintain their health or improve their health, or whether they've got cancer or just some like illness or anything that they want to understand a little bit better, because I believe what we can do within ourselves and change small little things. It doesn't have to be a massive rocket science paper or anything else. We can do small things like eating broccoli straight out of the fridge, because it's raw. It maintains a lot more enzymes within the product, so it gives us a little bit more. Because if you cook too much, obviously we start destroying enzymes. And if anyone's got a microwave, get rid of it, because it is no good whatsoever. just unplug it, take it outside, and just give it to the bin man, because whatever you put in a microwave will destroy everything, even if it's got all the vitamins and minerals written on the packet. As soon as you put it in there and press start, that's it. All those enzymes are destroyed. And just look at what you're doing through your life and see what's not working for you, and then just change. It's like fasting. If you understand that our bodies need time to repair, but every time you eat, you stop that repair motion, and then you go into digestive motion, because our bodies can't do two things at once. It either has to digest or rest and repair. So if you're not eating so much, you have more time to rest and repair. So I only eat between 12 and 6 every day, and the rest of the time I'm in rest and repair mode to help my body heal, strength, and everything else. So yeah, that's a really good tip for anyone out there. It's like, if you're finding that you're fatiguing and everything else, just cut down on the amount of food that you're eating, because the amount of energy it takes to digest one meal, just cutting out one meal, it's just going to give you so much more energy. And if you eat good, healthy products like farm shop brought fruits, vegetables, meats, and stuff like that, it's so much better than the stuff you'll get in supermarkets. I know it's a bit more expensive, but you don't need to eat as much. So that way you're cutting out one meal. So you're only eating 2 meals a day or 1 meal a day. So if it is more expensive, you're not eating the rest of that stuff. So you're actually saving money if you eat healthy as much.
And if you eat seasonally as well. We were
Yes.
talking with Nick, another he's a nutritional therapist, about eating seasonally and how good that is for you, and you can buy things cheaper and freeze it, and all that. I think that analogy you used earlier about filling up your tank with water instead of fuel, I think that's going to stay with me. Yeah, that's really simple analogy, but really effective. Yeah,
it is. Yeah. And like you say, if you eat seasonal food picked at the right moment, that's 100% of all the vitamins and minerals you need. Whereas if you buy a shop bought apple that's been ripened en route, it's only got 50% of the nutritional, 25% of the nutritional value. So if you buy an organic apple that's picked at the perfect moment, you're getting 100% of vitamins and minerals. Whereas if you buy a shop bought apple and you're getting 25% nutrition or 50%, you've then got to buy 2 of them. So that's actually more money than what it would if you bought an organic apple or organic carrots and things like that. And frozen food is another good thing, that if you can't get seasonal stuff, frozen fruits and vegetables and stuff like that, they're picked at the optimal time and then frozen, and it keeps all the nutrients within them. So if you haven't got the capacity to get good, healthy farm shop food or seasonal food, go frozen.
And frozen can be cheaper as well sometimes can't it? You know, so if people are on budgets, it's a great way to go.
Exactly.
You know,
Yes.
you get the optimum nutrition with less money.
Yeah. And try and fasting as well. I normally do a 72-hour fast once a month. So I just won't eat for 3 days and just drink water. But I'm still training every
I
single
think
day.
I might work up to that one.
Yeah, that's the best thing. So if you do like
Start
18
small.
Even me,
hours,
I must admit, I do fast on occasion, but I still haven't quite got round to the 3-day fast, I have to say.
Do you need to check it out with a doctor before fasting? Because I haven't got a gallbladder anymore, and I'm pretty sure I read somewhere that I wasn't allowed, that fasting wouldn't be good for me, or maybe it was when I had a gallbladder it wouldn't have been good for me. I don't know, one or the other. But
obviously, like for something like that, I would just suggest like 18 to 24 hours and not push it too far. But obviously, if you wanted to, you could. There is scientific papers out there from DocMed and things like that, or talk to your doctor. If you've got any concerns, definitely do your research, talk to the doctor. There's plenty of DocMed and everything else where you've got scientific papers on there which are not they're not judged by like hospitals or pharmaceuticals. They're actually independent researched papers, and sometimes they're a little bit more reliable sort of thing. So
okay.
And I think my question that's been going through my head, did you actually run any of these alternative or let's say complementary therapies, I think, rather than alternative, because you were definitely integrating it with the medical side of things. Did you run any of this past your oncologist to actually say, I'm doing all this, you know, I'm actually embracing herbal medicine, I'm embracing this, I'm embracing that, and, you know, and if you did, what was their take on it?
their reaction was a lot of the time, oh no, you don't want to do that, or you know, you can enjoy a piece of cake, and so their advice was very much stick to our way type thing. You know, there was no help in saying, yeah, so if you're doing conventional, do alternative as well, sort of thing. So, but there was no, obviously they have to protect themselves, and they know the science behind all the papers and all the chemotherapy and everything else. But a lot of the time they fall short of the nutritional value in what a good healthy diet is. I mean, I've been to the oncology office, well, the chemotherapy ward, and there's been tins of Quality Street in the waiting room, and like Haribos and the stuff they bring round on the food chart trolleys at lunchtime when you're having chemotherapy. It's just like, you do realize you're feeding the cancer of all the patients you've got in here. And it's insane. Because I used to fast whenever I used to do chemo. Every chemotherapy I had every 2 weeks, I'd do a 48-hour fast. So I'd stop eating Thursday night, have chemotherapy all day Friday, and then I wouldn't eat again until Saturday morning. Consider I ran to hospital and ran home as well. So, because I read an article where if you cut out all the glucose within your system, your cancer then has nothing to feed on apart from the chemotherapy you're getting. So in theory, you're actually increasing the potency of the chemotherapy to help, because the chemo is like, oh my God, the cancer is, oh my God, I'm starving because I've got no sugars, no glucose or anything else. And as soon as the chemo goes in, I'm like, oh, I'm having that sort of thing. So I used to do that as well, sort of thing. And when they used to come around with the trolleys, it's like, Marcus, hot water, yes, please, and stick the green tea bag in there type thing. So yeah, I just try to be very sensible, understand how to reset my body, and yeah, just cut out all the rubbish. I think so.
You're like a breath of fresh air to me, Marcus. You really
Thank
are.
you. Thank
You are
you.
so along my wavelength. I just love it. So thank you so much for sharing your story with us today. And before we sort of close this episode off, I mean, obviously you've given so many top tips, but often we sort of like say, well, what would be your one top tip, to give to people listening today?
Look at your mindset, because that's where it starts, because that's the switch that says yes or no. I'm going to give this a go or I won't. And I could have just gone, I've got stage 4 cancer, advanced, incurable. They've signed me to a hospice. There's nothing that I can do. I've got a 1% chance of survival because of the cancer they told me I had. And it was my mindset that went, what if? What if I am that 1%? And just take that as the motivation to take that one step, and everything's a one step. Forget about the full picture of beating cancer. What can you do today to improve your tomorrow? And that's what it's about. And if there's small things you can change, whether you cut out milk and drink water, or if you cut out like shop brought meats and buy organic farm shop meats, or and just small things. And we all know whenever we pick up a Mars bar, we know it's wrong. And just making that choice to go, no, I'm not going to eat that. I'm going to eat this instead. Once you beat cancer, have a Mars bar. But the thing is, a lot of people, I think, once they beat cancer, they then go back into that mentality of like, oh, I'll go back to my normal life. But you can't. This is a life change, and it's a mindset change. So I'd always say to everyone, check your mindset first, and then worry about your diet, and then worry about your exercise to get your body back to healthy, because you need the mindset to choose the right foods to have the energy to do the exercise. So yeah, that's my free top thing.
There's quite a lot of top tips there, but I like that
Yeah.
what ifs. I heard you say that earlier, and I thought
Yeah.
the what if is actually
if?
really powerful as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just what if. And choices. I always bang on
Exactly.
about choices, then, as you say, from that mindset that we can have an acceptance, and then actually we can start to make the right choices.
Yes. Yeah, that's
Well,
right.
thank you so much. Is there anything you want to?
Me? No, I'm
You're
gonna
just blown
take
away,
this.
aren't you?
I'm just gonna go and start thinking about what I can do. Marcus, I haven't had cancer myself,
No,
touch wood.
touch wood.
But I'm aware there's some lifestyle changes that I can
Yeah.
bring in. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna go and
But
have
you've been there for
about
Sarah,
that.
so
Gonna go and have a fit. Yeah, exactly. She's a really good influence. But I was having to think about that fuel tank as well. So thank you.
yes. Yeah. No worries.
Perfect.
My
All these
pleasure.
conversations obviously really help, Marcus, because obviously just my conversations too is obviously not impressed enough. So thank you for actually adding on your take.
One step at a time. One step at a time.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And if you ever want to come over to Warrior's Breath for a cold plunge or a sauna, you're more than welcome.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, perhaps we ought to go and do that together. Hey,
We'll
should we
record
go
an
and do
episode
it?
over there.
Yeah, that'd be really
Yes.
cool. Actually,
Yeah, we
an
can-
episode on the cold plunge and sauna.
Yeah.
Probably us squealing a lot.
yeah, that's right. We can record it in the yurt, so whilst we do meditation. Fine.
That'd be amazing. I might take you up on that.
Yes, yeah, please do. So, all right.
Great to meet you.
Thank you so much. And that's it for this episode of Your Way Now. And we will see you next time.
Get the strength you want and need from real stories and expert voices. It's time for Your Way Now.
Thank you for listening to Your Way Now. If you have a story you'd like to share, or would like to be a guest, or have ideas about what would be helpful to hear on future episodes, we'd really love to hear from you. Please remember you're not alone on this journey, and your voice really does matter. So until next time, this is Your Way Now.